I've been covering a number of topics. I'm going to go back to the false choices and relationship issues. I addressed a number of the key points already, but I want to rehash as a package a few concepts together. There are a number of tactics used by cults for cult indoctrination, brainwashing, propaganda, all those things. They're all forms of auto hypnosis, and they get you to behave and think in a certain way to make you a tool for others. And classic way of doing this is to recite something to you over and over again as a mantra until you believe it. You just adopt it because you hear it so many times. And you can see that when people are in groups reciting something together, or when they, on their own, make a daily practice of reciting something to themselves. It's a form of auto hypnosis that tricks people into believing things that don't have any basis in reality. There's no measured result. There's no interface with the real world. It is a form of delusion. And they can use that they've now implanted themselves with a suggestion. It's a hypnotic suggestion. Then they can use that to discount and avoid anyone who says different. So you see this with MAGA, for example, where when people fact check their conspiracy theories, they just claim that the person who fact checked them is fake media, fake news. And you also see this in other circles where the cultist will say, I'm just going to ignore them because they're interrupting my flow or my peace or my enlightenment. I have this grandiose view of myself. And so anyone who says different is just bringing me down. And that's a way to protect their ego and protect the cult indoctrination practices that they've adopted through repetitive affirmation, mantra, reciting their conspiracies. All those are the same practice neurologically. And one of the key things about these cult-like behaviors is that the person who's indoctrinated then becomes a mouthpiece. They then get other people on board, and the more people they can gather into their orbit and have them believe the cult indoctrination, the more powerful and important they feel. So they say to themselves, if I can get other people to agree with me, then that means I'm right. Which has never been the case. It's never been true that if you get more followers to believe you, that makes you more accurate. Most people were adamantly opposed to Galileo when he was talking about heavenly bodies, the orbits of the planets, the rings of Jupiter, the rings of Saturn and the moons of Jupiter. And same thing with Darwin. Same thing with people who were talking about electricity early on. There was a lot of superstition and conspiracy around electricity in the early days. So this happens over and over again. And the people who are disconnected from reality with this grandiose fantasy that they try to propagate to validate themselves, they consistently fail to recognize other people's real contributions. So my work has been adopted by industries, benefits real people, because it worked better than everyone else's options. All the other designs that people had didn't perform as well in the real world for producing benefit for real people. And you can contrast that with people who say that they're somehow amazing people just because they're sharing a message, when the message they're sharing is the cult indoctrination. They feel grandiose and powerful and important. They get to inflate their ego because they're a shill for propaganda. And they don't recognize that their real results for the actual benefit of others are minimal or zero. So you see this a lot with like very wealthy pastors or very popular influencers. They want people to agree with them, and then they want to get paid for it. I do my work for free. And I don't care if people agree with me or like me. I'm going to keep giving it for free to help others in the real world, in actual practical sense. So I'm going to link a video that's a perfect example of how people can be very privileged and pampered in their life, where they're getting things without ever actually giving back. And they think they're some enlightened saint by propagating that propaganda. They're spreading propaganda, and they're using these cult indoctrination tactics, and they're not actually contributing to the rest of the world. There's 7 billion people who have nowhere near as much privilege as this person that I'm going to link to, but the person thinks that they deserve everything they get, which is gross.